Hey there, and thank you so very much for joining me, whether you're here from my AstroloTea Party circle or whether you're here from the ethereal realms. I welcome you into this space here and now. Get grounded, get ready for some celestial messages because, as always, you are being bolstered, you are being supported by these energies. These are moments where you have opportunities, not fate telling you what to do or the string of fate tying you up, unless you're into that sort of thing, I guess. But moments of opportunity to see the truth of your being. So here we go. It's an interesting time, right? This is a full moon in Leo on January 28th, 2021. I'm still getting used to saying 2021, even though the month is almost over. It's a very powerful time. If you thought that New Year's Eve was a party vibe, which again, maybe it was more quiet this time around, right? Because things in our physical world are very different. But there's this internal party going on. The full moon in Leo is essentially the glorious Aquarian sun. I'm not biased. Shedding light onto our emotional space, onto our shadow self a little bit as well. So it's sort of saying, lighten up, share the load a little bit. Feel free to express your emotions in whatever way that means for you. A lot of this can come straight from the heart because Leo rules the heart space. And a lot of this is very much based in a sense of self-empowerment, like more than usual, if that's even possible for me, right? Very much like a one-man show or a one-person show and a kind of a one-person party, right? You are both the host and the guest of your life experience, which is sort of the greatest party of all time, and I will drink to that. So alongside this party feeling internally, this emotional fiesta inside your heart, we have Chiron in Aries, which is a little more intense, a little more like taking things too seriously, holding grudges potentially. But Chiron is the wounded healer. We have to remember it's not just about this wounded masculine projecting onto everything, It's also about taking responsibility for your actions, for your thoughts, your feelings. And that does not, and I repeat, that does not include having to guilt trip yourself or having to shame yourself. This is a transmutation. This is an alchemization of shame. So whereas last week we spoke of how this I just lost my train of thought. Wow. We spoke of how this was right, an alchemization, but there wasn't a lot of like major fire energy showing itself. This time is when the fire like burns, it really, we feel it so presently. It's not just in the subtle realms of alchemy, it's in very huge, massive, transformative spaces that you are being called to create for yourself and your manifestation process, as well as all of your relationships. Sounds really heavy, I know, but Chiron in Aries is trining our Leo moon. I think almost exactly by the degree, if I remember correctly. I have stuff written here, but I tend to forget the exact degree. But I'm pretty sure it's quite almost an exact fire trine. And with a fire trine, it's like kind of a shock to the system a little bit, which I also talked about last time. But not because it's uncomfortable, but because it's almost, it's like, it's physically familiar in a way that reminds you of your past lives or other dimensions. It is a physical experience that transcends the physical realm. So that's a little confusing, I know, but because fire is both physical and energetic in such an obvious form, this trine here is showing us the connection between that party in our heart space and the wounds which maybe we have ignored or maybe we've been working on them. Either way, it's going to become very obvious where you are to be paying attention right now. And I always say, there's no thing that you should be doing, but if there's work that you've been ignoring within yourself, it's going to, tap on the windows a little bit, throw a little lover's rocks, like little Romeo and Juliet throwing rocks up on the balcony, rocks up on the window of your soul, being like, hey, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. All of my analogies today are very goofy and silly, which I think is fitting for this Leo moon. And then to sort of soften that, to sort of add a little even more playfulness, we have Venus conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. So both Chiron and Pluto, although they are in different signs, they are in different cardinal signs, which are very intense. Pluto itself is the shadow of humanity. It is that farthest planet that we know of, or the farthest celestial body, I should say, sort of in astrology representing the shadow of humanity, as well as sort of that same Chiron energy of alchemy. We must sit in that shadow to alchemize it, to find power in it, to liberate ourselves, to recognize that while we are not the shadow, and the shadow is not necessarily us, it is still a part of our life experience on this plane. And as human beings, as individuals and the collective, it's important for us to look at that and to really sit with it, to explore how it may be healed. So, Venus adding her gorgeous, artistic, creative, juicy, feminine flow to this energy of sort of maybe stagnance or maybe fixation because it's in Capricorn. There's this sense of, all right, you may be feeling something and I'm validating that, but I'm validating it in a way that is so powerful for myself and for those around me that it almost sort of loosens the reins, it loosens the tension. You can let your shoulders drop, Pluto, because I see you and I understand you, and you don't have to try so damn hard. That's really the whole, that I should have just said that and then signed off, because that's essentially the message that is coming through the end of this month. You don't have to try so hard. In fact, sometimes, if not all the time, the less you try to force, the less you try to be rigid, the more you soften, the more you attract, the more you channel, the more you flow. The divine feminine is reaching out her receptive hand to us, and her, hang on, let me balance my tea here, and her other hand too. So we have this beautiful exchange going on with this divine feminine essence, reminding us that no matter if we decide to be femme, masc, or anything in between in the physical, we have all of it within. We have everything within us. It just is about what we choose to tap into. And that's where your free will comes in, my friend. And I empower you to use it whenever possible, which you already are without even knowing it, by the way. So cheers to that. And thank you again all for being here, for being in my circle. There are only a couple more days left. On January 30th, which is my solar return, my birthday, the AstroloTea Party platform will be a subscription. However, these videos will still be free in public. So if you're watching this and you're like, this is all I want, this is as far as I want to go up in this queer, crazy party, then that's fine. And I'm just so glad that you're here regardless. So thank you for being born. Thank you for being present. You are so very loved, my dear friend.